Mr. Carpenter, please call the roll.
Senators Aguilar. Aguilar.
That. Absent.
Baumgardner. Cook. Coram. Court. Court. Crowder. Donovan. Finberg. Fields. Fields.
Absent.
Garcia. Gardner. Guzman. Hill. Hill.
Excused.
Holbert. John. Jones. Kagan. Kafalis. Kerr. Kerr.
John, how are you, sir?
Another day at the races.
Yes, sir.
Kerr.
Absent.
Lambert. Lumberg. Marble. Martinez Humenic. Merrifield. Moreno. Neville. Priola. Scott. Smallwood. Sonnenberg. Tate. Todd. Todd.
Excused.
Williams. Zenzinger. Fields. Kerr.
Please mark Senator Aguilar as excused.
Mr. President.
Here. 32 present, 0 absent, 3 excused. We have a quorum. Senator Gardner, please come and lead us in the pledge.
Colleagues, staff, lobbyists in the gallery, and visitors and guests, please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the journal, Senator Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the reading of the Journal of Monday, January 29th, be dispensed with and the Journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the motion is adopted. Huh? Excellent. Committee reports.
January 29, 2018, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology. After consideration of the merits, Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 67 be amended as follows. As so amended, be referred to Committee of the Whole. The favorable recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. January 29, 2018, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology. After consideration of the merits, Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 105 be referred to Committee of the Whole. The favorable recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. January 29, 2018, Committee on Judiciary. After consideration of the merits, Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 68 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations. January 29, 2018, Committee on Judiciary. After consideration of the merits, Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 16 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations. January 29, 2018, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 76 be referred to Committee of the Whole. The favorable recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. January 29, 2018, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 48 be postponed indefinitely.
Senate Services.
Correctly printed. Senate Bill 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, 128, 129, 130, 131, 132, 133, 134, 135, 136, 137, 138, 139, 140, 141, 142, 143, 144, 145, 146, 147, 148, 149, 150, 151, 152, 153, 154, 155, and 156. Correctly engrossed. Senate Bill 54, 55, 60, and 88. Correctly re-engrossed. Senate Bill 14 and 15.
Third reading of bills. Consent calendar. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the titles to all the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar?
Senate Bill 55 by Senator Neville and Representatives Van Winkle and Hooten concerning crimes against children surcharge in cases involving trafficking of children. Senate Bill 60 by Senator Corman and Representative Hamner concerning protective orders in criminal cases.
Please add Senator Aguilar to the roll. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move both the bills on the third reading of bills final passage consent calendar, consisting of Senate Bill 55 and Senate Bill 60.
Is there any discussion on any of the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar? The motion is for the adoption of all the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar. Are there any no votes on any of the bills? With 33 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 2 excused, Senate Bill 55 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Crowder, Senator John, Senator Kafalis, Senator Aguilar, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Williams, Senator Fields, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Court, Senator Jones, Senator Scott, Senator Cook, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Lundberg, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Gardner, Senator Marble, Senator Priola, Senator Smallwood, Senator Tate, Senator Lambert, Senator Merrifield, Senator Garcia, Senator Kerr, Senator Donovan, Senator Sonnenberg, Majority Leader Holbert, Please add the president. And please add Senator Todd to the roll. With a vote of 33 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 2 excused, Senate Bill 60 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Crowder, Senator Martinez-Humenic, Senator Zenzinger, Leader Guzman, Senator Fields, Senator Kafalas, Senator Garcia, Senator Kagan, Senator Gardner, Senator Smallwood, Senator Tate, Senator Lambert, Senator Todd, Senator Williams, Senator Aguilar, Senator Scott, Senator Court,
Want to move to reconsider?
Any other co-sponsors on Senate Bill 60? Please add the president. Third reading of bills. You want to?
Oh, before I was really here. So I do want to be a co-sponsor for. Yeah, on both of them. So I need to just say that here at the well.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I would like to be a co-sponsor on both Senate Bill 55 and Senate Bill 60. Thank you.
Senator Todd will be added as co-sponsor on Senate Bill 55 and Senate Bill 60. Third reading of bills, final passage. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 54?
Senate Bill 54 by Senator Crowder and Representative Liston concerning a limitation on the amount of an increase in fees assessed against assisted living residences by the Department of Public Health and Environment.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 054 and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 54? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 54. Are there any no votes? With 33 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent. Hold on, that ain't right. There we go. With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 54 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Cook, Senator Smallwood, Senator Marble, Senator Martinez-Humenic, Senator Kafalas, Senator Kagan, Senator Aguilar, Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Jones, Senator Todd, Senator Lambert, Senator Tate. Please add the president. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title of the Senate Bill 88?
Senate Bill 88 by Senator Gardner and Representative Becker Kay concerning clarification that retail marijuana sales are subject to sales tax levy by certain limited purpose governmental entities.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 88 on third reading and final passage.
Senator Gardner, continue.
Thank you. Members, I am hopefully will speak very briefly and not have to return to the podium. This is a bill that is not without its controversy. I carry it because it is my fundamental belief that when this institution, the General Assembly, makes what is by everyone's acknowledgement an error in the drafting of legislation, and they do happen, that it is incumbent upon us to resolve that error in the best way possible. I do not use the word fix because that cannot be done. For those of you who did not vote for the creation of this error, I recognize and acknowledge why you may not wish, nor do you feel you own the need to make the resolution, to be the solution. For those of you that did, I think, as you own it, you fix it. I ask for an aye vote.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I very much agree with the good senator from El Paso County that when the General Assembly makes a mistake, that we ought to own up to it and fix it. I also believe that we should do it within the bounds of the constitutional limits, and the clear fix to this problem would be to reestablish these taxes that are no longer through a vote of the people. Senate Bill 88 does not do that. Therefore, I am voting no on Senate Bill 88, not just because of a disagreement with the origins of the problem, but the cure does not meet constitutional muster.
Senator Martinez-Humanic.
Thank you, Mr. President. I did not support Senate Bill 267 last year. However, I do not believe that the intent or the legislature intended to do away with something that had already been in place. And SCFD had actually gone to the vote of the people and gotten that tax approved. And they are also one of these special districts that cannot collect this tax any longer. And that needs to be reinstated because the people did vote to support that statewide. The other thing that I just wanted to make mention is on page 3 of the bill, on line 21, it says it is necessary to enact this act as retroactive, curative, and remedial legislation to correct an oversight in Senate Bill 17-267 and ensure that the original intent of the General Assembly in enacting Senate Bill 17-267 that the affected special districts and other governmental entities be able to continue to levy their sales tax on retail marijuana sales on or after July 1st of 2017 is realized. It's not really retroactive. It will be going forward. There's no money that has been being collected, so there's no money to be retroactively paid. It will start when this becomes law. So I had met with the members of my district and of the special districts, as well as my city councils, are in favor of this, so I will be supporting this bill.
Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill today and ask for your aye vote, largely because most of the discussion and efforts around it have centered on the urban area, but want to remind folks in this chamber that this impacts many small districts from across the state. And we gathered here in the fall to address this situation, and I was able to discuss the impacts that many of my communities would feel on this, and the emails I was getting about cuts to service and staffing with the cuts that this meant to their budget. Many in my district were frustrated that we did not solve this problem when we gathered in the chamber, but I'm very grateful that we've continued to work on it and have a solution in front of us today. And so in order to respond and address the cuts that are facing the small districts across my area of the state, I do ask for your aye vote so that these districts can plan for the future and support the communities that they reside in. Thank you.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I wasn't going to stand up and talk about this today, but I felt the need to, considering the good senator from El Paso County's comments regarding it's just an error, and listening to other people talk about it's an error. And my gosh, government has needs. We have needs. Now, the people of Colorado voted the Colorado Constitution in, Taxpayer Bill of Rights. So the people of Colorado have needs and wants, and their expectation is that we would at least uphold the state constitution. Not just when it actually is in the benefit of government, but when it's sometimes not in the benefit of the government. To my good colleague from Adams County, she mentioned that the tax was an error and we meant to put this back. However, the tax does not currently exist. It is not being collected. When we put a new tax in, this is a new tax, even though it was maybe an error. And let me talk about that just briefly. Maybe we shouldn't have 72-page strike bills put on the night before, then running it through appropriations the next day to try to put it through the legislature. And maybe we should actually read the bills before we pass the bills so we can see what are in them. To my colleague from El Paso County, I appreciate the mulligan that you're giving the legislature, and that may be appropriate when we're on the golf course if you'd like to give a mulligan. However, that's not appropriate when it comes to the Colorado Constitution, so I will be a no vote.
Majority Leader Neville. Majority Leader Holbert. Wow. Majority Leader Holbert.
Amen.
I'm sorry if I took any of the wind out of the sails for what you're getting ready to say. Majority Leader Holbert, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, probably not a surprise, I'll be a no vote on Senate Bill 88. As the special session progressed and ended after 2 days, I was asked the difference between policy and procedure. And I think it's important to recognize constituent concerns and questions. Recently, I was asked on Facebook, who polices constitutional issues here? And there isn't a constitutional police that comes in and tells us yes or no, we can or can't do that. That's us. That's our responsibility to understand, to read that Constitution, the other Constitution. Most people out there in the world know about the U.S. Constitution, but not many have read the book that is our state constitution, which contains something that we refer to quite frequently, TABOR, the Taxpayer's Bill of Rights. And if you look at subsection 4 of TABOR, it makes very clear in my mind that any tax policy change that would create an increase of revenue for a district, and RTD and SCFD and the affected districts are districts. But any tax policy change that would create an increase in revenue for a district must go to a vote of the people who live in that district. Now, to me, that seems very clear, but the process here is another aspect of what we have to consider. And if 18 or more of us decide that this is constitutional and this is something that you support, then that process is also constitutional because we are one of the three branches. We hold equal status here in this process in government with the huge executive branch where the governor is the chief executive and most people who work in state government are employed. But we also hold equal status right here today with the judicial branch, the arbiter, the decider if something is constitutional or not. And then there are elected boards out there, RTD being one of them, SCFD being another board, and the other affected districts now who will have this responsibility to decide whether Senate Bill 88 solves this problem or not, or whether those districts must go to a vote of the people. As I heard about Senate Bill 88 coming into the general session after the special session, the key difference that was expressed to me by a representative of the Colorado Bar Association is their interpretation was that this is constitutional. Now, I'm not an attorney, and those who are, it's fascinating to see the bridge between the judicial and the legislative branch for those who serve here and who are licensed attorneys. I think we will find a disagreement of that. And I hope that the boards are thoughtful as they approach this and not just say, yay, now they have permission to start assessing their tax, because I think any voter in each of those districts would be able to challenge the constitutional policy aspect of this solution. And that member, that representative of the Bar Association assured me that if he or she were, if that person were a representative, a legal counsel, general counsel to one of those boards, that they would probably suggest caution is merited, because they could go out and start collecting these taxes. Someone could sue in court, and the court may come back and find that indeed my interpretation as a layperson, part-time citizen legislature is correct, that the policy is unconstitutional. But maybe not. I'm told by many members here in this chamber and the other that the legislature has the authority to put in a tax exemption in and take a tax exemption out. That's not exactly how I read the effect of 267 in this situation, but maybe courts will. I'll be a no vote, but I do want to stand up for the process, that if 18 or more of you and 33 or more in the House say yes, then this process would be constitutional. And I hope that those boards of the affected districts think long and hard and think carefully about the constitutionality of them reassessing this tax, the additional tax that they would collect. And I do hope that people who stand for Tabor will challenge that. And I will look forward to the ultimate answer. Is this constitutional or not? I believe that it isn't, but I will be a respectful no vote today.
Senator Gardner? No? Senator Court?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to make 2 points. One, I want to say I appreciate our majority leader for talking about what we do is deemed to be constitutional. Our people, the people of Colorado, send us here to fix problems. They expect us to address the needs of this state. That's why we're here. So the fact that we decide something means, as we have all been taught from our Office of Legislative Legal Services, that we are doing what is constitutional. So I feel very strongly that it is our job to take this on, since we made the mistake to undo this in the first place. We should fix the mistake and put it back. The second point I want to make is along those same lines. We are a representative government. Each one of us represents a constituency, and I know full well that my people who rely on RTD, who enjoy the zoo and other special districts in the city and county of Denver, and the services and the good opportunities that all of those present, I know my people want them to be able to continue providing those services to the people of Denver. So I have no problem whatsoever, either on the basis of whether this is our responsibility or not, or on the basis of representing my people in voting yes for this, and I encourage you to join me. Thank you.
Senator Priola?
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I want to come down here and talk about 88 of the Denver Broncos, not Senate Bill 88. Sometimes Demarius Thomas drops the ball, but you know what? He makes it up on the next play. And that's what this bill is doing. Last session, we dropped the ball, and we're making up for it. I urge an aye vote.
Minority Leader Guzman?
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I love the Senate. I really do. I love being in the Senate as opposed to the other house. And one of the reasons I love being in the Senate is that the Senate was designed originally as a chamber of smaller people than the House, to hold a smaller number of conscientious individuals, individuals that take time to study, that are mature in their activities, mature in their questioning of the bills and so forth. And so I love third reading. I love third reading. We don't always have an opportunity to listen to great debate, which is what I think we've had here today. And I love the majority leader. And I love the fact that today we don't agree. But I love the debate. And since 267 was actually one of my bills, I was the co-prime sponsor of that bill. I believe in 267. There was a mistake. We didn't do it. There was a mistake. And I'm very proud to look for the answer today and whether we will move forward or not, because as the majority leader has said, our debate here today will come about in terms of whether we will support this or whether we won't. And if we do support it, very good. I'm hoping that we do. I believed in 267. Yes, it did take a lot of midnight oil and a lot of last-minute work. But I don't know of anyone who worked on that bill that didn't, anyone on my side that didn't know what the bill meant and so forth and so on. So I believed in it then. I believe in it now. We just need to finish up this small, although it's a big thing for many people. It's not small in everybody's eyes. The distinction between is this constitutional or not is a big deal. It's a big question. I respect that. I respect the work that was done. I respect the work and the decision of the Attorney General of the state of Colorado. And I urge you, and thank you to the sponsor, and urge for a yes vote today to move this on to the House for further debate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I want to thank the good senator from El Paso County for bringing this forward. Many in this body, 999 of the 1,000 steps you will take, will be on concrete or pavement. Rural Colorado has a different life. Frankly, we're talking about an issue here where 8 districts are affected. 3 of them happen to be in my district. It's not a lot of money, but they don't have a lot of money. What we need to understand is they already voted to do this. It was our mistake that left them out, that cost them basically a year's revenue. Maybe not a lot of money to you, but to those small districts. That hospital in Cortez, Colorado, that frankly was very concerned about being able to stay open. Because 267, they are open. They're open for business. They're saving lives. It's important that we pass this. You know, the quorum rule is if you mess up, you fess up, and we move forward. Members, we messed up. Let's fess up and move forward. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 88. Are there any no votes? Senator Cook, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Lundberg, Senator Neville, Senator Marble, Senator Lambert, Senator Smallwood, Senator Scott, Majority Leader Holbert. With 24 ayes, 10 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 88 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Crowder, Senator Coram, Senator Priola, Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Fenberg, Senator Merrifield, Senator Donovan, Senator Kagan, Senator Jones, Senator Donovan. I'm on a roll today. Senator Moreno, and Senator Donovan, and Senator Donovan, and Senator Williams, Senator Todd, were you waving your hand to be a co-sponsor, Majority Leader Holbrook?
No, sir, I was not.
Okay. Any other co-sponsors? Majority Leader Holbrook.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to lay over second reading of bills to the end of the calendar. Move to proceed out of order for consideration of resolutions.
The motion is to lay over the second reading of bills calendar till the end of the calendar and proceed to the consideration of resolutions. For the motion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it, and we will lay over second reading of bills calendar to the end of the calendar, proceed to consideration of resolutions. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title of the House Joint Resolution 1003?
House Joint Resolution 1003 by Representatives Lontine and Carver and Senators Cook and Kagan concerning recognition of military veterans and MIA POW Appreciation Day.
Senator Kagan.
Thank you, Mr. President. We move House Joint Resolution 1003.
Is there any further discussion on House Joint Resolution 1003? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Joint Resolution 1003. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Joint Resolution 1003 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Cook.
There you go.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request the use of the present roll call.
To be added as co-sponsors.
To be added as co-sponsors. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Senator Cook. Without objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to House Joint Resolution 1004.
House Joint Resolution 1004 by Representatives Escar and Rager and Senators Garcia and Crowder concerning the 50th anniversary of the capture of the USS Pueblo by North Korea.
Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. President. And we move HJR 18-1004 and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Joint Resolution 1004? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Joint Resolution 1004. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Joint Resolution 1004 is adopted. Senator Crowder.
Sir, Mr. President, I move that the current roll call be added as co-sponsors.
Without objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of the House Joint Resolution 1005.
House Joint Resolution 1005 by Representatives Jackson and Ransom and Senators Williams and Crowder concerning recognition of African American veterans.
Senator Williams.
Thank you, Mr. President. We move HJR 18-1005.
Is there any further discussion on House Joint Resolution 1005? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Joint Resolution 1005. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Joint Resolution 1005 is adopted. Senator Crowder.
Mr. President, I move the current roll call be added as co-sponsors.
Without objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of the House Joint Resolution 1006.
House Joint Resolution 1006 by Representatives Babona Covarrubias and Senators Martinez, Humanic, and Aguilar concerning recognition of the contributions of Latino veterans.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Joint Resolution 18-1006 and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Joint Resolution 1006. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Joint Resolution 1006 is adopted. Senator Martinez Humanic.
Thank you, Mr. President. We ask that the current roll call be added as co-sponsors.
Without objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title of the House Joint Resolution 1007?
House Joint Resolution 1007 by Representatives Weissman and Sanders and Senators Lambert and Todd concerning the role of Colorado in space and cyber defense.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. We move the House Joint Resolution 18-1007.
Is there any further discussion on House Joint Resolution 1007? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Joint Resolution 1007. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Joint Resolution 1007 is adopted. Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President, and we ask that the morning roll call please be added as co-sponsors to 1007.
Without objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title of the House Joint Resolution 1008?
House Joint Resolution 1008 by Representatives Lee and Sice and Senators Hill and Donovan concerning recognizing the positive impacts of adaptive sports programs of veterans in Colorado.
Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Joint Resolution 1008 and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Joint Resolution 1008? The motion before the body is the adoption of House Joint Resolution 1008. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Joint Resolution 1008 is adopted. Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request for the current roll call to be added as co-sponsors to House Joint Resolution 10008.
Without objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of the House Joint Resolution 1009.
House Joint Resolution 1009 by Representatives Liston and Valdez and Senators Gardner and Garcia concerning the designation of the Fillmore Street Bridge spanning Interstate 25 in Colorado Springs as the Donald Don Stratton Bridge.
Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. President, and we move HJR 18-1009 and request an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Joint Resolution 1009? Motion before the body is the adoption of House Joint Resolution 1009. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Joint Resolution 1009 is adopted. Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the current roll call be added as co-sponsors to the bill, to the resolution.
Without objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of the House Joint Resolution 1010.
House Joint Resolution 1010 by Representatives Michelson, Janae, and Landgraf and Senators Quorum and Court concerning recognition of military personnel from Colorado who have served around the world in the ongoing war against terrorism and honoring those who have died while serving the cause of freedom.
Senator Court.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move HJR 1010 and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Joint Resolution 1010? The motion before the body is the adoption of House Joint Resolution 1010. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Joint Resolution 1010 is adopted. Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would ask that the current roll call be added as co-sponsors.
Without objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Consideration of governor's appointments. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read all of the appointments on the consideration of governor's appointments calendar?
Members of the Board of Governors of the Colorado State University System for terms expiring December 31st, 2021, Stephen Paul Gable of Eden, Colorado, to serve as a member who has substantial experience in production of agriculture and as a Republican appointed. Nancy Rautour of Parker, Colorado, a Democrat reappointed. Jane Robbie Rhodes of Pueblo West, a Republican reappointed.
And should I move them individually, or is it?
It can still be done like a consent calendar. They can all be moved at once, and anybody wants to vote.
So if you want to be a no on certain.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the absence of the chair of the Education Committee, I move the consideration of governors' appointments, members of the Board of Governors of the Colorado State University System. There are three appointments listed: Stephen Paul Gable of Eaton, Colorado, Nancy Rao Tour of Parker, and Jane Roby Rhodes of Pueblo West. Mr. President, I believe there are members who might want to record no votes on one or more of these.
Is there any discussion on any of the appointments on the Board of Governors, Colorado State University System appointments? Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to be recorded as a no vote on Ms. Tour and Ms. Rhodes, and a yes vote on Mr. Gable.
I was calling for discussion. I hadn't called for the no votes yet, but that's fine. Senator Priola.
I'll yield my time.
Okay. If there's no discussion, then we'll proceed to votes. Are there any no votes on any of the members, the appointments to the Board of Governors of the Colorado State University System? Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I'd like to be recorded as a yes vote for Mr. Gable and a no vote for Ms. Tour and Ms. Rhodes.
A no vote on Ms. Tour and a no vote on Rhodes. Senator Priola.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to record as a no vote on Ms. Tour and Ms. Rhodes.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would also request that it be recorded as a no vote on Ms. Torr and Ms. Rhodes.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am a no vote on Ms. Tour and Ms. Rhodes.
Senator Crowder.
Mr. President, I'd like to be recorded as a no vote on Tour and Rhodes.
Senator Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be recorded as a no vote on Ms. Tour and Ms. Rhodes.
Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be recorded as a no vote on Ms. Tour and Ms. Rhodes.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be recorded as a no vote on Tour and Rhodes.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also would like to be recorded as a no vote on Tour and Rhodes.
Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would also like to be recorded as a no vote on Ms. Tour and Ms. Rhodes.
Senator Scott.
Mr. President, I would like to be recorded as a no vote on Ms. Rhodes and Ms. Torr.
Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be recorded as a yes vote on all three, regardless of gender.
We'll be in a senatorial 5. Senate will come back to order. Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I'm sorry if I impugned other senators. That was not my intent. I found it odd that if the protest is against the institution, that people being appointed and reappointed were being treated differently. The fact is this issue has been, probably predates the people who are being reappointed. And so I have a hard time understanding how that decision is made because it's a protest against the university.
Thank you, Senator Jones. We are still on no votes on the three appointments. Are there any other no votes on the three appointments? Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do ask to be recorded as a no vote on the two who are being reappointed. That would be Ms. Tour and Ms. Rhodes. And I will be a yes vote on the appointment.
Are there any further votes? Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would also like to be recorded as a no vote on Ms. Tour and Ms. Rhodes. Thank you.
Are there any further no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Stephen Paul Gable of Eaton, Colorado is appointed to the Board of Governors of the Colorado State University System. With a vote of 21 ayes, 13 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Nancy Rao Tour and Jane Rhodes of Pueblo West are appointed to the Board of Governors of the Colorado State University System. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to lay over the balance of the calendar until Wednesday, January 31st.
The motion is to lay over the balance of the calendar till Wednesday, January 31st. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the balance of the calendar will be laid over till Wednesday, January 31st. Message from the House.
The House has passed on third reading and transmitted the revised statutes. House Bill 1048, 1023, 1024, 1026, 1027, 1044. Amendments appearing in the House Journal, January 26, 2018. The House has passed on third reading and transmitted the revised statutes. House Bill 1028, 1068, 1075, 1087.
Message from the Reviser.
We herewith transmit without comment House Bill 1028, 1068, 1075, and 1087 without comment as amended. House Bill 1023, 1024, 1026, 1027, 1044, and 1048.
Announcements. Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have three announcements. First of all, for Judiciary Committee on adjournment, we are meeting pursuant to Joint Rule 25 and Rule 271. Don't forget your budget books, and we'll try to do that as quickly as possible. I know everyone's got a lot of business, so but please, as quickly as you can. I also want to announce that today is Physical Therapy Day at the Capitol. All day, and if you want a free physical therapy assessment, they are being done on the third floor in the committee rooms. I think the first door on the right. If you've been in a fight this morning, maybe sustained an injury in any way, if you had a mulligan and threw your back out, you may want to stop by and see the physical therapist to see if they can help you. They're great folks. And finally, the Colorado Victims' Rights Caucus, our Legislative Victims' Rights Caucus, will meet tomorrow for our first meeting of the year. We'll be in the House Committee room downstairs, and we'll announce that again tomorrow, but there'll be lunch served tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Todd. And Senator Priola.
Thank you, Mr. President. And we want to invite you to CU Advocacy Day at the Capitol. I think you all got one of these on your desk. It might be in black and white or it might be in color. But this is this evening for us to learn more about one of our great universities here in Colorado. You want to tell the details?
So the festivities will start here at the Capitol at about 3 o'clock over in the Old Supreme Court, but you can also head across the street to legislative reception at Benson Mineral Group, 1560 Broadway Suite 1900. Hope to see you there.
Senator Martinez-Humanic.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, today is Physical Therapy Day at the Capitol, and so we really appreciate our physical therapists who help folks that have medical conditions recuperate and rehabilitate after surgery. They will be available for evaluations in the Senate Committee room hallway upstairs to the first door to the right. So if you want them to take a look or to help you with a knee issue or something that you're having, please stop by and see them, and please tell them thank you for their service to all of our constituents in their healing process.
Any further announcements? Senator Kerr, a third time?
Recess or adjourn? Huh? Adjourn. We're done.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, the front desk here, Secretary Amin has your tax information, so if you are ready to start working on that, if you could run down here and gleefully pick up your tax information, we have that for you at your front desk. You will be asked to, yes, leaping, jumping, running down to get the tax information. For viewers there on Comcast 165, yes, we file and pay taxes like other people, yes, like everybody else. Members, we will not have bills to read over later today, so we are going to adjourn until tomorrow morning. Wish you a productive day in committee. Mr. President, I move that the Senate adjourn until 9 a.m. Wednesday, January 31st.
The motion is for the Senate to adjourn until 9 a.m. Wednesday, January 31st. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will be adjourned until 9 a.m. Wednesday, January 31st.